What's up guys, I'm Christy with Oak Hill Millworks, and today we are going to show you some behind the scenes for how to do your own DIY shiplap wall. Sometimes before you get started building up a project, you actually have to tear down. So where we're at right now with the project, we've already removed all the trim that was underneath the stairwell and the baseboard, as well as the legs and the pediment that were above the door. Now we're at the point in the project where we need to locate our studs. We're going to use this stud finder to move it against the wall, locate our studs so that when it's time to put the shiplap boards up, we can nail straight through the face of the board and get a nice secure fasten to our wall. Here's how this works. You're going to push the button on the side, let it calibrate, and then you just slowly start to slide it on your wall. You're going to see this arrow form. When you get the beep, you would mark it, and then you would continue in the same direction until it starts to disappear. Move it back, and when you get that next arrow, that's the other side of your stud. So you would mark that side as well, and then find your center point. That's the center of your stud. All right, so once you have all your studs marked with just small marks, and we've already laid this out, but you would grab a 4-foot rule to just get a straight edge and mark your studs the whole way up. This will make it a lot easier on you later on. After your studs are laid out, you want to take your measuring tape, and the best way to start with a shiplap wall is from the bottom and work your way up. So go all the way to the edge, all the way to where the legs on your door are going to be. If you don't have legs, just bump it all the way up to your door jamb. So for us, ours are around 103 inches. So I'm gonna make that cut and get started. All right, so we got our first piece already cut down. Right now we're just gonna do a test fit and make sure we are in the right place. For this particular project, we are choosing to build out our door jamb. So now that I have the right length, I have a good reference point for where this door jamb will get nailed up. So the reason we're building the door jamb out is because we have a 3/4 inch depth on this shiplap. If we weren't to build the door jamb extension out, we would lose the detail and the depth that comes with the door trim. All right, so in this project, we also bumped out our electrical box because we don't want to lose the depth on that either. Make sure you turn off the power while adjusting your electrical box. Don't ask me how I know. All right, so some people just choose to nail their boards to the studs. We're gonna also put some liquid nails on it, just a simple line, nothing major. That's gonna give it the extra insurance it needs. It doesn't need much. This first board in place. Always a good idea to continue to check for level running horizontally with your boards throughout your project. For this one, I'm gonna make sure I do 2 nails, one more towards the top and one more towards the bottom, just to get a more even nailing in the stud. Hey, who moved that? Who moved the air blower gauge? Was that one of my friends? This job is a lot easier when you have a helping set of hands. This is Steve from Baird Brothers. He is my helper today. Say hello, Steve.
How's everybody doing? Looks like you're making progress, Chris.
Coming along. I think originally I thought I was just gonna use a contour gauge and butt this stuff up against my door trim. And then after realizing I would lose the depth of my door trim and the detail there, prying all the trim off was actually, it wasn't difficult, but it was time consuming. Definitely doable. Okay, so here's where we're at in the process. We've built out our door jamb extensions, and we've got a couple boards up so far. This is the pre-primed poplar from Baird Brothers. This stuff goes up really nicely, and if you scratch it up a little bit, it's all right because you still are gonna paint it afterwards. We also brought out our outlet 3/4 inch so that it would be nice and flush with the front of the shiplap wall. We are going to keep putting boards up on the wall. Eventually we'll get to a point where we can start laying down our trim. This is the fun part. It's like putting a big puzzle together. All right guys, so for this piece, we are going to test fit it first because we want to make sure it fits around this door jamb extension before we go gluing and nailing. We use the jigsaw to cut around, and it looks really good. So we're going to go ahead and glue and nail. Okay, last piece is tricky. The ceiling isn't totally level, which is pretty typical in an old house. So we cut a little tapered piece on the bandsaw. With a smiley. Oops, that's all right. If you have that, if you have a little blowout there at the top, trim's gonna cover that, no big deal. Watch the rings. Okay, so we have our entire shiplap wall installed, and now it's time to start working on the trim pieces. So here's where we're at. We've done some lattice pieces towards the top to frame out our shiplap wall, and then we did one down the side as well. What we're finding is, and this is part of doing it yourself at home, you're going to run into issues that you kind of have to troubleshoot as you go. What we're finding is this overhang is not the same the whole way down. It's not a big deal. We're just going to use caulking to make a nice seam the whole way up. Just making sure it's not going anywhere. All right guys, well that wraps up our DIY shiplap wall. As you can see, it's looking incredible. This is easily a weekend project. Before today, I spent time taking all the trim off, and as you can see, the trim around our door looks fantastic. We chose not to use a contour gauge. We chose to bump everything out that 3/4 inch. And we kept checking for level as we went throughout our project, so you can see all of our lines look really nice and straight across. Huge improvement already for this wall in our home. Next up, as you can see, we have all of our nail holes. We're gonna get some wood filler, fill those in. It's already primed. We'll just do some painting. We have some trim to paint. We're gonna have a nice shiplap wall in our home that we did ourselves with help from our friends at Baird Brothers.
Hey, good morning, Christy.
Morning.
How we doing?
We're doing well, thank you. Just finishing up our cuts for the day.
Good. Welcome, everybody. Steve Stack, Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, Canfield, Ohio. We've got a neat project, and we're starting to take advantage of a soon-to-be revealed workshop / studio where we're going to be doing some projects like what we're going to do today. We've recruited Christy from Oak Hill Millworks.
Yeah, hi guys, thanks for having me.
Came across this morning to give us a hand. She's the knowledge, and I'm just here to oversee. So we're going to have fun. So
Let's do it.
what we're going to take you through today is a great spring project. It's a Western red cedar potting bench, a garden potting bench. I have one at home. We use it especially coming into the planting season with the gardens and the flower pots and all this and that. And it's a nice little yard ornament, really. It's something you put out, leave out. Hopefully today we're gonna give folks some instructions. There's a couple different options how you can assemble this thing. What's that new tool that we're gonna introduce today?
Baird has available the brand new 720 Pro pocket hole jig from Craig, and you will be seeing us use that today.
That was like somebody gave you a gift certificate for dinner when you saw this thing.
I'm so excited to use it. Well, it's a really smart system. It knows what depth you need to drill just by getting going on it. We'll show you. And if you don't have it, we have another way to show you can get this kit going. So, should we get going on the project?
What do you think? Let's start getting some material up and see what we can do to get this thing put together.
Sounds good. So this is our basic framework for the top and bottom shelf. So we can go ahead and start laying it out. If you have a workbench, great. If not, just spread it out on the floor of your workspace.
With the naughty inland cedar, you'll have a milled face, and then you have the natural rough face right off of the mill.
Yeah.
So because it is kind of a rustic project, I kind of kept it in my mind to keep the rustic side turned out, the appearance side. So when we get around to putting a protective coating on this, whatever our choice or the homeowner's choice might be, it really intensifies and brings that rough cedar to life.
I agree, that's what I would do.
We're going to show a couple different options as far as assembly goes. How do you want to proceed with this one?
There's a lot of ways to go about it. If it were me at home, I would just go basic, and I would do a little bit of glue where all the ends of the wood meet, and then you can either drive screws through the ends here and here if you have a screw gun, or if you have a brad nailer, that's another really good option. You can do pocket holes, but I don't think that's totally necessary for this type of a build. So I say we just brad nail it.
Okay, so going back to a point that you made, we're using another product that we offer here at Baird Brothers. We have the whole family of Type Bond products. This is their ultimate wood glue, waterproof for interior, exterior use, and it strengthens the whole assembly process.
That stuff is extremely strong. So the green one, Type Bond 3, is the one that's rated for water. So you're gonna wanna use TB3. You can look up break tests online. It will never break on the glue joint. The wood will actually snap before the glue seam does.
And you try and be neat when you're working with the wood glue, but guess what? If you're gonna be a woodworker or a carpenter, that's what the blue jeans are for.
If this were me working by myself at home, I'd try to clamp this whole thing, because then that's like my second pair of hands. Two's good.
Sometimes you hear guys talking about what's their most valuable tool in the shop. This is one of them.
I love the combination square.
Combination tri-square. We can adjust that, and we can just work that piece nice and plumb and square for just that real nice appearance. We're taking the time to build this morning, and we want it to turn out nice, and we want it to look like we cared.
We do care. Let's make it square, because we care.
Sometimes the cedar boards, and it's very common and it's acceptable in the grade of the cedar, you get this runoff or this wane. So in this case, we're going to turn that down. Same thing over here.
Yep. All right. I could see this actually doubling as a grill cart. You could hang up all your spatulas and accessories. Okay, stand her up.
Okay, so like I say, we'll go ahead and reinforce that with these Craig exterior screws. So along with that Baird Brothers workbench top, and we've introduced you to that new Craig 720 this morning, Craig also makes a great framework for these carts to attach one of our workbenches to. And you can see how easy that was. You can roll it around anywhere in your shop and still have that great work surface. So Craig's a great partner of ours. And I know you use some of their product at your shop, Christy.
Do.
And again, this Western red cedar, this knotty inland cedar, it has great porosity, so that allows this glue to really do a job on it.
Yeah, that's not going anywhere. All right, see how we did. Wanna swing around?
How about that? Not bad. That's gonna be a nice size.
We need some shelves. All right, so we just got our boards cut to length for the bottom shelf. Go ahead and test fit them first to make sure we're on the right track. We have
Okay, Christy, how do you want to do that? You want to go to the 5.5, 4.5?
Yeah, it's nice to break them up for aesthetics. So we have a 1x6, 1x5, another 1x6, and a 1x4 in the back. All right, so a lesson I learned the hard way. Never cut to your final length right away. Get close and then clean it up later. That way you don't have to go buy more wood.
Okay, so that makes a nice wide work surface, Christy. And on the bottom, I went ahead and did a little separation to give a grate effect.
Nice.
So yeah, some of the soil and debris can, wash itself down through there. And then to this, we're gonna take, I think it might look nice. I know we have a 1x4 element coming up this back for a couple other things that the plan calls for. And that'll allow us to put a nice little apron out here on the end caps, kind of lock everything together. What do you think?
That looks great.
Okay, let's start getting some of these shelf caps nailed down. What we'll need to do is transfer the lines we made on the top just around the side here, or you can eyeball it, by this.
Nice.
And then we can lock that bad boy on there and we can do some of the Craig fastening.
That's pretty sweet.
All right, yeah, the pocket hole is really sweet, and it'll just give this some additional strength. So this isn't a bad little project. This would be a nice one-day project at home with minimal tools.
Yeah, especially if you get a fully cut kit.
Stitch it. So with that wider 1x6 Christy, I see you're going 3 nails rather than the 2 on some of the 4.5 and 3.5 inch boards. That's smart. That'll really pull that board down to the framework. And if we take a quick peek, you did good. None of them came out the front of the fascia board.
We can't handle
But look at that nice work surface.
It's really pretty.
I mean, that's gonna be plenty deep. You know, set a flat of flowers on, your pots over there, your mixing soil,
Yeah.
have at it. You know, start to do some of those beautiful baskets for the upcoming spring and summer.
We did have a little bit of glue squeeze out here. It's no big deal. You can either use your finger or a wet rag and it'll take care of it.
Now, we
Or do
can
you want to do the top cap?
do our cap and our lattice, and we're getting close to the end. Now there is an option on this if you wanted to put in collapsible plant hangers. You can go a lot of different directions with this. Okay,
All right.
let's keep going.
Okay, so as we wrap up this build, we are putting on some dental molding, aptly named because once it will be all spaced out, it kind of looks like teeth. We'll do our end moldings first so that we can find our center and place the remaining pieces. Good?
Okay, Chris, so while I cut some pieces for the lattice work, you want to see and
Yep,
come up with some type of spacing, and we'll finish those dental blocks up, and
sounds good.
we're headed down the home stretch.
Whew.
Okay, Christy, so we're doing the same thing on this lattice. We'll get ourselves a little gauge block, and we'll see if we're right. We'll pop this back out. We've got our locator pencil marks. Dab of glue, double pin, okay?
Okay.
And then we'll set that next one.
Did a quick swap out to only 1¼ inch brad nails because we're working with 2 pieces of 3/4 inch material. 1.5 inch is obviously the same thing as 2 3/4 inch pieces of material, and we don't want it to go through. Last piece.
There it is.
Should I label it? It's been fun. Thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem. And we enjoy having all you folks. We did some revisions along the way, and that's okay. Make it your own. You got a lot of surface space to mount stuff. Start some plants, some climbers in here, and you know, by the time you're done planning, now you have a piece of yard art. The lumber package that we're putting together for this, you'll be able to accomplish this look along with the blueprints. Like and follow, shoot us your projects. Show us some of the stuff you've been doing with our lumber and so forth. And you know what? It's gonna be a fun summer.
It's gonna be a fun one. If you do this project, make sure you tag Baird Brothers so they can see your progress. What you working on?
Hey, Christy. Hey, I'm just looking at some drawings.
What do you got here?
Gonna be starting on a project this morning.
Yeah?
You gonna jump in, help us out?
I'd love to. What is it?
Okay, so we're gonna do this a two-piece combination, cubby, lockers, sitting on top of a bench seat.
Mudroom bench.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
exactly.
Okay.
Something you'll find in a mudroom, or I mean, some of the nicer ones you see in entryways of homes and the foyers and so forth. So we got a nice little design. It's pretty easy. We're gonna run through these plans and see what we can get together this afternoon. You know?
Sounds good.
I think we can knock it out in a day. So
let's do it.
Let's get started, okay?
Okay.
All right, Christy, so by the looks of these drawings, we got to start with our framework. So the way I see the sequence going, we'll build our framework. We have some nice 5/4 poplar material, and then we have some side panels and a top panel. We have some of the same white oak material that we used on our studio walls. We're going to use that as a backer for this cabinet.
Okay, nice.
So it ought to be a nice sturdy piece of more or less furniture by the time we get done, you know. Done a little bit of prep work. We've got our tight bond ready to go for the joinery, and we've got some trim screws. Let's get this base glued together, and then we'll see how some of these other components come into play.
Okay,
all
sounds
right?
good.
That'll just give us a little inside visual so we know we're nice and square. Okay.
There you go.
And then we're gonna do this. Okay. What do we do that for?
That's how you know what side to put your board on. That's gonna be rock solid. I have the easy job here. Spoke too soon.
Nice.
It's good.
Now that's pretty sturdy.
Yeah, that should be aligned.
Let's think back what got us to this point.
Okay.
We assembled our poplar base unit, our frame, our structure.
Yep.
Then we just went through a dry fitting process of all of our dado assembly, and the top is dadoed into those dividers and our end panels also. I think it's going to be rock solid when we get this thing nailed together, and it's going to work very nice in conjunction with our studio walls.
I would add that for anyone at home that doesn't know what a dado is, it's this channel here that's been created through the wood, and that just makes these uprights even more sturdy. Well, I think one trick to making sure your brads don't pop out is keeping it nice and perpendicular, keeping the gun nice and perpendicular to your piece.
So this is where I'm sure if you're doing this at home, you have a nice little paintbrush that you would go ahead and smear that down. But seeing how we don't, you're going to use your finger.
Just to get a little bit more coverage.
So we're starting the top section of our locker bench combo unit. We are building them independently. This could be built as one. We'll fasten the upper to the bottom just with some locator dowels. It'll sit up there.
Okay.
And same thing as the base unit. So let's get going on this. We're getting squared up with the face frame, and then we'll move on to the backs.
Sounds good.
Now again, we're gonna be applying glue and we're gonna be face nailing. Before we do any of the crown work on top of this, let's go ahead and flip him over and run the back. Go ahead, it'll tell you which way it goes.
It doesn't feel.
That isn't the way it goes.
It doesn't look right.
Okay, let's get the saw set up, and what we're doing, because with the nickel gap tongue and groove white oak, character grade white oak, this last piece, we want it to be a nice snug fit, but we don't have room to rotate it in. So we'll join the two and we can hopefully get two pieces in and then nail them both. You think you and I got enough strength left in us to hoist that bad boy up there?
We got this.
All right, if you say so, let's give it a shot. This thing's a monster.
Whew. Yep.
That thing's huge.
That's gonna hold a lot of stuff.
I'm glad we've got 12-foot ceilings in here.
But it looks amazing.
We've got nickel gap character grade white oak on the back, some birch plywood for some of our cabinet box components, poplar 1x2 stiles and rails, 1x6 kick, topped off with a crown base combination. All right, folks, we took a little break. We took a couple days off while our painter came in. He painted the poplar components and he put another coat of varnish on our live sawn white oak T&G nickel gap. And today we're gonna finalize this thing. We're gonna put a couple support brackets on the back. We built this in two pieces. It's quite the unit. So the ease of moving it around and handling it. A lot of the old furniture was made that way. And we've taken a couple pieces of 1¼ inch oak half round, and they're gonna be support cleats on the back of the unit. So I've laid it out, I've drilled a couple pilot holes, and we're gonna take these over and attach them to the back of the two units, making it one, giving it that little extra support. We don't want that top tumbling over on anybody, just a good opportunity to make it a little sturdier. Let me go over to the unit, and I have some layout work already done. I want to attach one of these, hit some pilot holes, run some screws in, and this thing will be locked up on the back side. Christy's not with me today, but we're gonna try and struggle our way through it on our own. We'll go ahead and just touch these with a pilot hole. So I feel good about that being nice and stable now, as far as it is not going forward on us. Leave the kiddos jump up on there and hang off the coat hooks. You know they're going to, but it's not gonna come forward, and you'll have that peace of mind. All right, so now I'm gonna put the drill away, grab a tape measure, and we're gonna put a series of 5 coat hooks on this. We've got all this great wall space, so we're gonna probably lay out a series of 3 on a top row, 3 coat hooks, book bag hooks, whatever, and then come down a couple boards and throw 2 alternating ones so we can take advantage of that space, keep a couple down low so the kids can get their book bags up on them. We chose a really kind of a simplistic, old-fashioned look, simple bracket. Ours, we went with the oil rub finish. We have some of the oil rub finish on some of the cabinetry hardware here and some of our furniture and so forth. So we went with that, and you can find these anywhere, online. All of the hardware stores have them, and they make them in every shape size, from traditional, craftsman, contemporary. Pick out something that you like and something that works with the interior design of your home. Okay guys, so we got this brute moved in to where she's gonna call home with our nickel gap back. Flows real nice with our nickel gap live sawn character grade white oak on the walls of our studio. Accessorized it with some coat backpack hooks, and then the bench unit down below. We'll accessorize that with a nice cushion. Then we're gonna start to fill it up. Got a little display area up on top of that solid top up there. I think we're happy with it. Thanks to Christy Miller, Oak Hill Millworks, helping us on the build. And then we had Ferris Painting come in, and he put the paint and the final coats of urethane on it. Another nice project. We'll have plans available, and they're a guideline. You might not like this height. It doesn't take much to alter those plans. Use your imagination, have fun with it. 2 cubbies, 3 cubbies, mix it up. Make it your creation. The beauty of woodworking, it's flexible. You can change on the fly. So until next time, our next project from Studio 3B, follow us on the socials, Instagram, Facebook, all of them across the board. And stay tuned, follow us on YouTube. Next project coming up soon, guys. Thank you.
Hey Steve.
Hey stranger.
Look what I got for you.
Oh, you got them done.
Got the test boards back. Thought they turned out really good.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. I think that's the green light for this project, huh?
I think so.
All right, so welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a few weeks. Christy Miller, Oak Hill Millworks.
Hey guys.
Our partner in crime.
Yeah.
And we get to have her back again today to make some sawdust. So we got a neat little project.
Okay.
Compared to some of our others, simple. We're taking number 2 carpet grade stair treads,
Okay.
manufactured here at Baird's, right? And we're gonna turn them into some meat cheese boards for an upcoming event.
Nice.
And we're gonna have fun. Real simple. They come with a bullnose. We're gonna make that disappear
Okay.
via the table saw.
Yep.
Then you're gonna get busy on the miter saw. You're gonna cut to some lengths. We're gonna address the edges. We're gonna bring them back to the workbench, and we're gonna do a little bit of routing on them. Clean them up, decorate, soften the edges. And the important thing is we're gonna be making sawdust, so we're having fun.
Let's do it.
All right, let's get going.
All right, so we got our first stair tread. We have our fence already set on the table saw, and what we're gonna do is simply rip off this rounded over nose part and get them ready to cut down to width on the miter saw after that.
Let's push some through. Okay, Christy, what's next?
Well, we just got done ripping these down to width on the table saw, so I think it's time to pretty much get to chopping where we laid out our lines.
You know, we were looking at some of these blanks, and rustic was okay, but big voids we were gonna try and avoid voids.
You did it.
I did it.
You did it.
I didn't mean to do that. But we're gonna cut around some of that stuff, right? So we're using 14, 16, 20, and 24-inch measurements.
Yeah.
So we went ahead and transferred those lines after looking at the stock we had to work with. Some of the character we're gonna leave in. By the time we're done sanding and oiling, they'll be beautiful.
Yeah.
So how about I'll feed you over at the miter saw,
Okay.
and I'll keep you in stock. You be careful on the saw, safety glasses down, and we'll be ready to go.
Sounds good.
Okay, so the nature of this project, we're not working to precision cut lines. So if we're splitting a line or one side of the line, it doesn't matter.
Right.
For the end product, these are gonna be fine.
I think it looks good.
I'll trade you.
Okay.
Okay, you made quick work of that, Christy. Everything's cut to length. We're gonna touch that saw cut end with 120
120 should do
paper or
it.
something on the orbital, and get those cleaned up. Then we'll jump ahead to the next step and put a nice little softened decorative edge on these things, okay?
Let's get sanding. All right, guys, so we are in the sanding stage of the project now, right, Steve? We are going to hit this with a 120 grit first. The lower the number, the higher the grit, which means if you need to remove more material, you're gonna start with a lower grit number. So we're gonna start with 120. It's really important to work your way up through the grits. That means going 120, 150, 180 to roughly 220. That gives you a really nice smooth finish. And here's a really great tip. If you have a pencil in your shop, make a nice little line across the board you're working on, and when you're sanding, that pencil line will disappear. And when it disappears, you know you're ready to move on to your next level grit.
Once we go over this with 120, we're liable to get a dab of oil on our finger and wipe it. And as long as we don't have the orbital circular sanding marks, we're gold.
Right.
If we see that and we decide we can take it one step further, we might jump to a 180 or a 200, 220.
Yeah, so I say let's start with 120 and see how it looks.
Okay. All right, Christy, we're to the point of putting an edge on these. Cut them to length, scared them with a little sandpaper, a light sanding.
Yep.
We did a little test run with the router. We came up with a 45-degree chamfer, probably about an 1/8 inch on the bevel portion of the chamfer, and it satisfied you, so God knows everybody will be happy with it. And you're gonna make some sawdust. You've got about 25 boards to route.
I better get busy. I think that is really nice.
Yeah, it's just taking the sharpness off that edge. How do you like that router?
I like that this is an extra wide base plate, so it's easier to keep it flat on your project.
And it seems like it has plenty of power to handle that bit on a nice one-pass application, so.
Almost ready for oil.
All right, Christy, that part's behind us.
Yep, just got done putting this nice edge profile on.
I say you back your car up to the door, load them up and take them to New Brighton, Oak Hill Millworks shop, and leave that epilogue do its thing.
Yeah, we're gonna get a nice custom engraving on these boards for you guys, and I think it's gonna look really good.
It's been fun. Thanks again. Christy, did you bring the boards back?
Yeah, check them out.
Oh, they look fantastic, huh?
Yeah, I got them all engraved back in my shop on the laser. Looking good, just doing a little light sanding. I thought that would be good before we oil them up.
Scuff them up a little bit, get the natural hand oils off of them.
This is the best part. When you put the oil on, the grain pops. I think this one's ready.
You want to start with that maple one?
Yeah, let's do it. So we got a food grade mineral oil here, Howard's Butcher Block. Can't go wrong with this stuff. Look at it though, look at the grain pop. You can see the figure come out.
The wood is going to take its time and it's going to absorb that oil to where we might come back in an hour or two and it'll almost appear dry where you want to go back over it with another light coat. But it is very important on any meat cheese boards like this or cutting boards you have at home, or even your center island workstation with a wood top on it. Whatever you do to the top, you do to the sides and the bottom. And that keeps balance in the wood. If it's going to pick up any moisture, or if it's going to try and expel any moisture, it will do it at a balanced rate from both sides of the product, whatever it may be. Yeah, and you can see that's starting to absorb and show some dry spots already. So typically you would just take that, lean it against the wall along the shop here somewhere, and then when you come back with another clean cloth, just give it a slight buffing, and voila, it's ready to go into service.
I think they look really good.
Let's see what this guy does. So you hit the maple. Now this is the white oak. That really brings that white oak to life. And that's all you're trying to do is get a consistent, even coat on it, leave it absorb, and then work in the balance across the face of the board and the edges and the back. That's gonna make a beautiful,
That looks good.
beautiful board. And when we started this project in the shop, we decided we were gonna leave some of the character in it. So we left some of the tighter knots, a lot of the natural color variation. That was our intent. What really comes to life is that beautiful little personalized engraving you did down on the corner. Now it really has a background and some depth.
That's really special.
What do you think?
This has been a fun one.
And useful. I don't know, what do we end up with? 25, 28 of them?
Yep.
That is gonna be a nice meat cheese board for whatever event these folks are using them for.
Thanks for having me.
This was an easy one.
Yeah, it looks really good.
We did some work, we made some sawdust, but it was fun. What are we gonna do next?
You'll have to stay tuned for another episode of Build It with Baird. Check out bairdbrothers.com or oakhillmillworks.com to get to know us behind the scenes. Stay tuned.
Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. See you next time.
All right, Steve, we're back at the table saw here. I've only been woodworking a couple years, but for people who are just learning about the table saw, what are some things you would really want to hit home on to make them be able to operate it safely?
Great piece of equipment. As with any woodworking equipment, complete respect is demanded from it. They're called accidents. Some are self-created. Other times they just happen on their own. You try and prevent. So we're working with the SawStop 10-inch contractor model saw. Uncrated this a few months ago, put it together, went together very nice, and it does everything we need it to do in this size shop. We approach it every time we start it up with respect. I've unplugged it because we're talking about it and we're gonna have our hands around the blade and everything. So when you're not using it, unplug it. you have your guide fence. The guide fence needs to be parallel to the saw blade. Why?
So that you get straight cuts.
And you don't get that pinch or that bind on the saw blade, right?
Right.
So in setting it up, a lot of the companies will walk you through that process if you need to adjust your fence parallel to the blade. Some of that is done back here on the T portion of the fence, and you get everything nice and straight. And you've used our saw before. There's no bind, there's no tension, so we like that. The fence is, of course, movable.
Yep.
You can run the fence on either side of this model. If you're doing cross-cutting work, you bring out this little guy.
Okay.
And just like our treads, if we wanted, we could set this up, maybe put a fence extension on the back of this and use this as a push, and we're nice and square. This body and your blade assembly is 90 degrees square, right?
Okay.
Again, no bind.
Right.
The adjustments on this saw, you have a height adjustment controller over here. You have an angle set down below here, and that's important. Why? If I reveal the blade, okay, down here, and if we move this board into it, okay, this has all the safety precautions of saw stop. If your saw does not, if you run the blade just above the stock thickness, God forbid there would be a follow through accident, all right, you're cutting your finger, set at this height. If you crank that blade way up, you're cutting your finger off.
Right.
Right? So that's important also. And learn the equipment before you start your work. Be cautious, learn to be comfortable. Christy, over the last couple of years, your comfort level has probably came up.
Yep.
Through operating time, right?
Yeah.
What else about this saw do people need to be cautious of, and the different tasks the saw can perform?
Two things that come to mind right away. For me personally, I'll be honest, I was pretty intimidated when I was first learning how to use a table saw. There's a lot of force here, but I learned to keep my body to the left side of the blade. So when I'm pushing material through on this side, I'm staying out of the way should this wood come back. So that's the main thing, is positioning my body to the left side of the blade. Another thing, this is a really important piece of equipment here, and this black splitter. This keeps the wood from binding back on itself as it progresses through the blade. It's called a riving knife. This is also an anti-kickback feature. You can see the little spikes on it. So once your wood passes through it, it keeps it from being able to come back on you. So those are a couple things that I really take to heart.
So Christy, long and short of it, familiarize yourself with the table saw or any other piece of woodworking equipment. Go slow, learn it. It has characteristics. Be cautious of it and respect it, and it'll do a lot of work for you.
Exactly.
All right?
Yep, I agree.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Christy.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about this new tool to our shop, miter box, crosscut saw, chop saw,
Yeah.
right? Hear everybody call them chop saws. I mean,
Right.
in the day that they only had one function. Take us through it.
Well, I think people are calling them chop saws because the main mechanism here that you can do is by chopping down and simply just cutting a board straight across it. But you also have the ability to rotate the base and do angled cuts if you need to. Trim or baseboard, that's useful. You can also, give me a hand here, this is loose I think. Tilt this if you're doing crown molding, for instance.
Okay, and that just bottomed out on a 45-degree cut, right?
You can get those nice bevel cuts for crown molding. So
Yep.
those are a couple of the main uses for the miter saw in the shop. See if I can get this back.
You got it.
There we go. Line it up, lock it up. Couple other great uses for a miter saw would be for making the same cut over and over again, right? This little guy is a locking mechanism here, so you can put a piece of scrap wood down and you can keep making that same cut over and over and over without having to remeasure every time.
This saw addresses a nice width of cutting surface. You can go 11.5 inch plus on this. I mean, this comes with the sliding support wings on it.
Right.
So if you're doing something standing,
A little taller.
right, a little taller, or if you're setting a crown mold in there and you need that additional height to seat the crown at the angle. So it comes with a lot. Not the most expensive saw on the market, but a very versatile saw.
I really like this mobile stand too. That way, if you don't have a dedicated shop space for a saw like this, you can move it around. You can even take it out in the driveway and get your project done out there.
You know, and that's one of the things we've kind of paid attention to in our limited shop here, mobility, whether it be our workbenches or our table saw has a mobile base on it. We can, you know, one person move that heavy monster, and yeah, great tool.
Pretty safe overall.
Same basic woodworking principles.
You gotta respect the machine.
Respect the machine. It has safety features built in. The blade's either in contact with the wood or it's protected with, the blade is being protected out front here. And common sense, respect the tool, and always know where your hands are at.
Yep.
What do you think?
I agree.
Let's make some sawdust.
Let's do it.
Brought to you direct from Studio 3B at Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, the American Hardwood Advisor is your source for trends, tips, and insights into how the building industry has evolved. Join me, Steve Stack, along with guest builders and industry leaders as we talk shop and go in depth on what it takes to be the best of the best. Dive into topics like architecture, industry trends, project plans, historical tools, tricks of the trade, and life's lessons from more than 6 decades of experience in the hardwood lumber business. Welcome back, everyone. We're once again coming to you from Studio 3B at Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Today we have a very special guest with us. I want to introduce Christy from Oak Hill Millworks. Christy, thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Very good. Hey, you know, we're a little bit familiar with you now here at Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Tell us a little bit about Oak Hill Millworks, your company.
Okay, so Oak Hill Millworks is my company that I started back in 2019. It has been a ride ever since then. I started out with the purchasing of a laser, which most people think, what? You could buy a laser? Yeah, and ever since then, I've just been creating things to sell on the website, and, well, we've taken a couple turns along the way.
Well, you know, and you say with the laser, but you take it a step or two further. I know you've shared with me, you have a little bit of woodworking experience also.
I do.
Where'd that come from?
Well, truthfully, I think it's probably some of it is genetic. My dad was a carpenter for a long time in his working days, and so I pretty much grew up watching him remodel and add on to our entire house. In fact, it's actually chock full of Baird Brothers products, so I grew up seeing my dad do chair rail and molding and build custom fireplace mantles in our home, bookcases. So my dad is actually a big inspiration probably for where I picked up the interest, at least. And then when I got into high school, a little bit later in life, I was on stage crew for musicals. Didn't want to be in the show, and so I learned how to build things for sets.
Sure.
There, and that kind of whet the appetite even more. It really, though, took shape in 2018. out of necessity. A lot of people get their start in woodworking out of necessity. You know, you need something for your house. So we needed a new TV stand, and it was my first time designing, making a cut list, and just doing it, even though I didn't actually really know what I was doing, but that's what spurred me on.
So in the transition and learning, you have a couple well-established social platforms, and so did the content lead to the woodworking, or the woodworking led to the content?
It's a great question, because when I started the business, I never anticipated this whole content creation thing, doing podcasts, but I found that I didn't like just sharing the end picture of what I was working on. I liked taking people along with me for the journey, and then just organically through that, I began sharing how I did things. And so the content creation just kind of came kind of secondary, because I wanted to help other people on their journeys.
Okay, so in the laser technology and manufacturing and your woodworking background, what kind of products do you offer through Oak Hill Millwork?
Quite a variety, a lot. So we're in our third year of business now, and most of what we have done has been custom stuff. But the range of the laser is pretty great. So we've done wood-based projects like just home decor type of signs or family name signs. But we've also done promotional type goods like stainless steel coffee tumblers. People can send their logo to me and I'll engrave it on the cup. And if it's a realtor that wants an order of, 60 or 100 of them, we can pump those out, and then they have their promotional goods. So it's quite a range. We've worked with leather, acrylic, and plastics. The laser's pretty
So a little bit of
neat.
everything. A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So, well, speaking of equipment, and I know you're super excited about a new piece of equipment that you're just installing in your shop. Tell us a little bit about the CNC that you've come across.
Okay, so when you become a content creator, sometimes companies want to work hand in hand with you to collaborate. And I recently had the opportunity to work with a company called Onefinity CNC. They offered to send me out the cutting area is about 32 inches by 32 inches. And for those of you at home that don't know what a CNC router is, it's basically a handheld router that moves on a conveyor belt essentially, and you control it with your computer. So I just got it set up. It's a lot to learn, but you can use your computer to design files and carve signs, and it's going to become a great addition to the Oak Hill Millworks.
It's really going to expand
family.
your manufacturing capabilities.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
I mean, your laser's fantastic, but it sometimes will have limitations as far as thickness of stock you can work with and things along those lines, right? So might open up a whole new window of products that you'll be able to manufacture in-house now.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
So as a content creator, does the content influence your choice of projects, or do you come up with the project and then work back to the content?
I would say right now, as I'm still learning as I go, and I'm a one-woman shop, it's a little bit of both, to be honest. It's sometimes I will be working on something and the idea will just hit me, like, oh, this would be a really educational piece. Or sometimes it's just an entertaining piece of content for people to view. Other times when I do have the good fortune to work with companies, I'm working on their schedule. So, if they have the ability if they need me to do some content for a certain month or a certain quarter in the year, I'll work around that, because I obviously want to establish good working relationships.
Oh yeah, definitely, and that's why and we'll share it with the people. I don't want to jump ahead of myself, but how long ago, and I remember it was a Saturday morning, and I received an email from you that you were passing through and wanted to stop by. Tell folks how we came about meeting and starting to establish a little bit of a real nice business relationship, and it's grown into some fun projects. But how did it start?
Okay, so it really started, it was July of 2020. We were still kind of in the middle of a pandemic here, but luckily I was still able to come out and visit. I wanted to visit because, like I said, my dad always had a Baird t-shirt on, or a Baird hat, even a Baird mouse pad around our home growing up, and he just raved about this place. And now that I was beginning to love woodworking myself, I just wanted to see what it was all about. So I came by, let you know I was coming by. You were so gracious to offer my family and I a tour of the facility, and I just saw everything that my dad had seen in it all these years. And you and we just got to talking. I told you that I was beginning to work with companies to help do marketing for them, and I really told you what one of my main goals was, which was I really want to empower people to feel like they're capable to do these really great woodworking projects and not shy away from coming to a grand place like Baird Brothers, and that they're able to do it.
So I think, and I was going to ask you, what was the goal of Oak Hill Millwork in your mind? And you kind of answered it in the sense of your first visit here. I'll reference it as a journey. Mm-hmm. And it was part of a journey and an experience. So was that part of the goal? And I love the fact that you want to share that with people, your experiences, and fortunately we've been able to do that together. Mm-hmm. and we have more cool stuff coming up.
Yeah, for sure.
That we'll share with the folks in time. But you're a juggler.
Yeah.
A couple little kiddos.
Yeah.
A husband, and a multifaceted business.
Yeah.
How do you manage it?
Grace of God, for one. No, I think there were just so many years in my life, especially when you're raising a family, you kind of forget what your own personal goals were. So one of the initial goals for the business was just more self-discovery for myself. And then as I began to share online, I discovered a whole community of people that had also kind of gotten stuck in their maybe 30s and 40s, realizing that they weren't quite happy. And so my goals, I've just allowed them to shift as I go. And I thought, it would be great if I can run a great business, have a great family. That'll help me, but I want to have a greater impact. And so I've found ways to educate others and empower them so that they can do the same. And partnering with you guys was a goal of mine because I knew that the Baird Brothers platform is even greater. So you guys empower me to help empower others. So it's just a great domino effect.
So your neighborhood of makers on your platform.
Yeah.
What I have seen and you have shared with us here at Baird's, you've got quite the cast of characters. You don't have to name them, or if you want to, you can. But you have everything from the maker just getting into it to some very established woodworkers.
Yeah, I think it's the community online, largely on Instagram, that I'm a part of, does range from moms and dads who are at home with kids just trying to do something creative during nap time, all the way up to contractors and television hosts that help with woodworking specials on television. So it's a range of expertise, and it's a very unique community because it seems like everyone just wants to help everyone. One of my best buddies that I've made on there, his name's Nick. he's hosting a maker meetup in a couple weeks at his house down in North Carolina. And a couple of us with quite a range of skills are meeting up to do a couple charity builds for some families who lost their homes to fires. So it's just this community that just seeks to give back. And I know Baird Brothers is just like that in your community here in Canfield, and I love working with you for that reason.
You know, that's, and I've had the opportunity over the past few years to travel a woodworking show circuit. Mm-hmm. And the thing that amazes me and your followers reflected, somebody approaches us at our display at these woodworking shows, and you don't know whether you're talking to a mother, you don't know whether you're talking to a doctor, or whether you're talking to a hardcore woodworker. Mm-hmm. And that community that you refer to, I can't help but say they're all down-to-earth people. People that enjoy working with their hands, mm-hmm. working with a great natural resource that we're afforded, and it's easy to have conversation with them. Do you find that with your followers?
It's something about it. I don't know if it's that the creative brain people or what, but there's just something about people who are okay with, I mean, woodworking is a lot of troubleshooting.
I've never thought of it like that, but yes, you know, and we've shared projects, and excuse me, we hit some stumbling blocks and we didn't stop. We readjusted, and that's the beauty of woodworking, I think. But you're right, you do have to have that sense of creativity, mm-hmm. and a little bit of a vision. Maybe a little bit of an artistic side.
Yeah.
And I know through some of your projects that you have shared with me and some of the products that you manufacture, it's obvious you have that. But what else would you like to share with us today?
Ooh, you know, I think I just want to say how fortunate I am to be given this opportunity to speak with you today. I know that I'm not a self-proclaimed expert by any means in the field of woodworking, but I think that's what's so great about it is that anyone from any background can come and just give it a go and create something better than what they started with. For instance, you know, just thinking about a couple memorable projects I've done recently. I had the opportunity to make a sign for someone local to me who wanted it to say, "It is well with my soul." So I cut these letters out of some 1/8" stock on the laser, made the frame and the sign backer myself, and just glued it up, and it's really pretty, and it's a testament to one of my favorite hymns, "It is well with my soul," which is just a nice reminder, especially when a project is going south. You got to be like, "Oh, everything's gonna be fine. We're gonna pull through, and this is gonna be a great little project." But that was a memorable one I've done recently, and I guess I would encourage anyone listening to, if you have any interest in woodworking, to just start. That's the hardest part. It was hard for me, but once I realized that I had all these goals written down on paper and nothing was ever happening, that was enough for me to feel like, you know what, not starting is actually more a failure than starting and screwing something up.
Very true, very true. And we want folks to know that you don't have to have the most elaborate equipment-filled shop mm-hmm. to accomplish projects. You start out with some simple hand tools, and as you get better at it and you're drawn to it more, then you start to pick up some of that equipment. And you and I both know, in fact, we're in the process of it right now, mm-hmm. Acquiring some new tools and toys to do some upcoming projects. And folks, I want you to keep paying attention and follow us, because we've completed a couple projects and we have more downstream that we're going to be sharing with you, and we're going to have fun.
It's going to be a good time.
We're going to have fun. And by all means, Christy, I want to say thank you. Thank you for coming over and joining us this morning. Folks, find out more about Christy at oakhillmillworks.com. And by all means, keep a sight of bairdbrothers.com. There's going to be some exciting information forthcoming. And for now, everybody, have a great day. For all you folks listening, thanks for talking shop with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. If you've enjoyed this episode and want to stay up to date with the American Hardwood Advisor Series, give us a like and subscribe. For more tips, projects, and inspiration, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, or at bairdbrothers.com. Until next time. Brought to you direct from Studio 3B at Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, the American Hardwood Advisor is your source for trends, tips, and insights into how the building industry has evolved. Join me, Steve Stack, along with guest builders and industry leaders as we talk shop and go in depth on what it takes to be the best of the best. Dive into topics like architecture, industry trends, project plans, historical tools, tricks of the trade, and life's lessons from more than 6 decades of experience in the hardwood lumber business. Hey guys, Steve Stack coming to you from American Hardwood Advisor, Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. And I don't have that same live sawn character grade white oak as a backdrop today because I find myself outside at Project Tianesta with the Renovation Hunters. And my guest today, this afternoon, needs no introduction. You all recognize her as Christy Miller, Oak Hill Millworks, my partner in crime, American Hardwood Advisor, Build It with Baird's, and a couple other nice little compilation projects we've done together.
Yeah.
Dear, welcome.
Hey, buddy. Nice to see you again.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'll say.
Right? Wow, where has 5 months gone?
I have no idea. Has it been that long?
Since Nebraska.
Wow.
That was
Yeah,
late April.
we started planning.
Right? Early
You know,
May?
Have you told the story of how you got involved with this project?
I have not. I have not. And I've touched on that with some of the other cast and characters. And I'll ask the first question, and then you can lead right to what I know you were about to say. How did you become involved? Well, before we go there,
Okay.
a lot of people don't know the story behind Oak Hill Millworks and Baird Brothers.
Yeah.
It was a Saturday morning,
2020.
right? 2 years ago.
Yep.
I opened up an info at Baird Brothers email on a Saturday morning about 7:15 in the morning, and there was this person saying, "Hey, I'm going to be coming through town today, and my dad's always talked you guys up, and I'd like to stop in and see."
Yeah.
And I replied back, "My name's Steve Stack. I'm here till noon."
Yeah.
And we took you, your husband Doug, and the kiddos
Yeah.
on the nickel tour, and the rest is documented,
The rest really is documented.
right?
Yeah, I totally blindsided you guys.
Yeah,
I said I wanted to come out. We went for a walk,
yeah.
and now we're here.
Now we chase each other around the country.
Yeah, we do.
So going back to that,
Yeah.
how did you become involved with the Outdoor Channel and Renovation Hunters?
With this project, it was because of my online network of maker buddies who had already been involved with the pilot episode, which I was not involved with yet. And then they decided they needed another person. And so Adam actually reached out to me initially and called me up and said, "You want to be on TV?" And I was like, honestly, I don't really know, but let's have a conversation.
Yeah,
And then, yeah, I interviewed at Workbench Con down at in Atlanta,
you were in Atlanta, yeah, yes.
and it just went really fast from there.
And then at some point, you did a little name dropping, and thank you.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, I have representatives from Renovation Hunters at Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods in Canfield making their spiel. And after we heard the approach, the backstories, the reasons, it was a real good fit in a lot of different ways, in that we had product they needed, and they had a conception that we loved.
Yeah.
And so it was easy. It was easy to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
It was easy to pull the trigger. So, of course, without giving away anything at Project Tianesta,
Yeah.
we've covered a lot of ground in this little place,
Ton of material from you guys on this one.
right? And I had the fortune back on May 26th to meet Hal and Kevin and Chris and come up here for an on-site look at the project. And at that time, it was decided that they were going to award the project to this family. And I got to witness that. And my exact statement was, guys, we can turn this into a dollhouse. And I told one of the fellas this morning, I think it was Robbie or Mike maybe, and I said, you guys, I've been excited for this one because I knew it was going to be special. I said, but you guys blew it out of the water.
Yeah.
I mean, this is sweet.
Well, that's what happens when you get great partners. And you can take your resources and put them together.
No, this one's going to be fun. So,
wasn't there something that the family had said about either her father or her grandfather said they only wanted Baird products in this cabin, like a long time ago?
They were familiar with the Baird family and Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, and the stars aligned.
Yeah, they really did.
Right, and so I am honored that Outdoor Channel and Renovation Hunters has allowed us this access to the project. I spent 2.5 days sweating, eating sawdust, and
Sorry about that.
and loved it. But we've got some news. We might as well share it with the folks now. You and your family, you've got your shop halfway packed for travel, and you're headed to a little town in Indiana.
Yep.
Doug is stepping into a nice position.
Yeah.
Out at again, stars aligning or not, Oak Hill School System.
Oak Hill High School, yeah.
Right?
Yep, it's gonna be a strength coach.
So we've got some head scratching to do.
Yeah.
Right? But we're gonna continue, one way, shape, or form. We're gonna continue not only the Renovation Hunters partnership, but the Oak Hill Millwork and the Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. We've got the technology.
Yeah, and I'll just buy a hybrid vehicle and I'll just make the trip. It's not that far. It's like 5 hours.
Okay, I know you got to get back to work. My friend,
Love ya.
partner,
Yeah.
you take care. For all you folks listening, thanks for talking shop with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. If you've enjoyed this episode and want to stay up to date with the American Hardwood Advisor Series, give us a like and subscribe. For more tips, projects, and inspiration, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, or at BairdBrothers.com. Until next time,